that you're seeing?
Happy.
Okay, we got happy. Anyone see anything different? No? Okay, so this showed that no matter like the fact that they're dressed differently, that perhaps the surroundings are different from what they're used to, that there is that commonality in human nature and human emotion. So happiness was definitely being shown. All right, so like I originally said, there's usually two types of photos that are tell a narration. Single photos that tell a story. Now, does anyone know the story behind this? This is a fairly famous photo, taken by Dorothea Lange.
Wasn't it during the Dust Bowl or like Depression? Or
Yes! Yeah, it was during the Great Depression. And does anyone know the story behind this particular photo? All right, if you had to figure out what this story was about, like if you were just looking at this photo, what do you think the story is?
A single mother.
Okay, got a single mother and
Her kids.
okay, all right. That is basically the epitome of the story. Like it's the key elements. But this particular story, it was during the time where a lot of people were traveling across the nation looking for food, looking for jobs, and the vehicle was their main source of livelihood because you needed that in order to get to the next job, get to the next opportunity. And this single mother with 3 kids had decided to sell the tires on her car so that she could get food for her kids for that night. And so she was basically without transportation. And the photographer, Dorothea Lange, was going through and documenting this entire experience, came up to her and asked for tacit approval to take the photo, and then took the photo of this. And the way that she composited it, the way she brought it really close, and then the lighting on the subject helped tell the story without using any words. All right, and so this is another famous photographer. Her name is Sally Mann. What do you think the story is here?
Rebellious kids.
Okay, we got rebellious. All right. Anyone have a different story?
I was thinking Tomboy, but I think that's similar to Rebellious Kids.
In a way, it is. It's two sides of the same coin. So this is a particular photo that these are her own children, and that is actually like a candy cigarette. It's not a real cigarette, but she was trying to showcase not necessarily rebellion, but at that time how children were forced to grow up quicker than she wanted them to, and just trying to show that how they had to take on with the pose that she has. It shows that she's kind of closed off and that she's uncomfortable. The fact that she's holding a cigarette, the way the light is hitting her, which is shining focus on her, forcing her to be in the spotlight, whereas the other kid here is more in shadows. All right. Yeah, so, who cares what's going on behind you? All right, so let's move on to capturing multiple photos to tell a story. All right, so usually there are 4 types of photos that you take. The first is the establishing shot. And the establishing shot does not have to come first in the set of photos, but it is where the entire story takes place. It helps give the audience a point of reference. The action shot is showing some sort of activity that's important to the story. A portrait shot is who is a main actor or character in the story. And then a detail shot is something small and what seems insignificant, but is very important and would be lost if you looked at a bigger picture. So let's go ahead and take a boxer who's training for a fight. All right, and you wanted to tell the story. What do you think would be a good establishing shot?
And like lacing up his gloves and like the gym.
Okay, so an establishing shot, think of it like a landscape photo, where the primary subject is not the individual, but the surroundings.
So maybe like a wide shot of like the gym.
Okay, perfect, yeah. A wide shot of the gym, it could be an outside shot of the building where the gym is located. And you want to be as dramatic and impactful as possible to help tell the story. So if this is like a hard, difficult fight, what kind of lighting would you like to have in that?
Dark lighting.
Well, dark, but dark in what way?
Hard.
Hard lighting. Hard. So you want hard lighting probably with really high contrast. Right. Then an action image could be him lacing up his gloves. What's another good action shot if someone who's training for a really important fight?
Doing like bag work, like punching the bag.
Okay, okay. So when you're showing that person punching the bag,
Shutter speed.
well, you could use
To capture,
Yeah, you can either use fast shutter speed to show like right after a punch hits, and maybe you can see the ripple effect on the glove, or you can do slow shutter speed where you actually show motion blur of his hands constantly moving and hitting. So you have a lot of flexibility there. Then what would be a good portrait shot?
Him with a towel over his head, and then just him like sitting hunched over and just trying to get behind him.
Okay, cool. No, so with portrait though, what is important?
The
What do you-
eyes.
You have to be able to see at least one eye, at least a half the face. So that same idea that you have would work as long as it's not his back, but you show like even his profile, like taken from the side, you show him hunched over, you can see at least half his face, the towel, maybe sweat dripping down his face. And then what is an important detail that you think would help tell this story?
His the facial expression maybe.
Well, facial expression can show seriousness, like the intensity,
Yeah.
but a detail is some object or thing that's in this entire set that would otherwise be lost.
Maybe like a poster of the upcoming fight.
Oh yeah, okay, that would really work. Where like you kind of zoom in. Another thing, like details usually could be something smaller though.
Sweat.
You could show like a drip of sweat coming down his face. If you just focus in on the sweat, that would work. It could be scuff marks on his boxing gloves. It could be like showing his shoes and how worn out they are
Like
from him practicing constantly.
if he got hurt or something, or he got his eyes swole, you might want to put that in there or something.
Yeah, and then showing like wounds, that
Yeah.
absolutely works. Okay, so based on what we've discussed, and there's text down below that kind of gives you a hint of which kind of shot this is. What do you think this would be if this was a photo story?
Establishing shot.
Yeah, establishing shot. There are no real people, there's no objects that are the main focus, it's more the entire environment. And then this photo?
Portrait. An action shot.
Yeah, this one can kind of work as both a portrait and an action shot, but his face is a little bit still hidden in shadow, and you can definitely see the implied motion. So this would fall more towards action than portrait, but this one could actually work as both. Yeah, this one is definitely a portrait shot. I think he needs a little lotion for his skin, but otherwise. And then this would be
Detail.
a detail shot. So if someone was giving a sermon and he's like standing on a rock and he's preaching to a bunch of his flock, this element right here, his hands with the rosary beads and then the cross, would potentially be lost in the photo. But by zooming in really close, it helps give an idea of the narrative, an idea of what is being discussed, an idea of faith. All right, so let's take a look at examples. So these are examples taken from students, and this is going to be the activity that we're going to be doing here next. So, what do you think this shot is?
Establishing.
Yeah, it's establishing where the story is taking place. Now, when you look at it and you look at the lighting, do you think, what kind of story do you think this is going to be?
Like horror.
Okay, horror. Yeah, it's horror, dark, spooky, intimidating maybe. And then this?
Shutter speed.
Well, it's definitely a shutter speed type shot, but is it an action shot,
Action.
a detail shot, a portrait
It
shot?
would be action.
Detail.
In this case, it could be either, but it's actually a detail photo in this case because it's zoomed in really close.
You know.
True.
You can't try to
the entire scene?
It's
Yes.
implied, you know, but you can't actually see it. But I don't know.
So this one right here.
Action.
So we have action.
Portrait.
Okay, so here's another one. Even though it's not action, but there's more showing the connection and what the interaction is between the characters. So here it was a Hogwarts-esque thing where she basically has a wand. And then over here you can see that. Oh, it jumped to the next one. And then this would be the action shot. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is we're gonna break into groups of, we got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How about we do 3 groups of 3 or 4 students. I want you guys to come up with a story, and I want you to have at least 5 photos in the story. And then in it, you need to have at least 1 establishing, 1 portrait, 1 action, and 1 detail. Brainstorm together as a group, trying to figure it out. And so, ever since there's 5 photos, you can have 2 establishing photos, you can have 2 portrait photos, 2 action photos, whatever you think makes sense to tell the story. And then come back in here, and you're gonna edit your photos, post it, and then we're gonna do a vote to see who has the best photo story. Yes, sir.
So in our groups, we all have to have 5 photos.
Yeah. Let me clarify this. You're working in a group of 3. Everyone has their own story. The other 2 people in your group are going to be actors in the story. So you're going to develop your own story.
So
You'll
one-
take the photos.
1 submission per group.
Well, it's going to be it's going to be the group as is the title, and then you're going to post your particular story, and then so that way you'll have 3 submissions effectively for one
Oh.
group.
Gotcha.
Okay.